Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the next Wasteless World Talks with Bill, Kevin, and me. And today we have another ordinary word. We will speak about trust. And having you, Bill, on the top, so you will be the first whom I will ask when you close your eyes and you hear the term trust. What do you see first?
I love that word. As a businessman, there have been a whole lot of articles just recently, more articles about the most important characteristic of a leader. Is it knowledge? Is it what is it? And the answer is always trust. Do I trust him? Will I follow him into battle? Will I work late at night? If he asked me to go above and beyond the call of duty, do I trust that it will work out? Um, but beyond business, it just touches everything. Your relationships with people, your family, your children. Trust is so important. I love that word.
Thank you for the answer. What about you, Kevin?
This one's really simple and really short. Trust is a form of belief.
That's interesting. Yes?
Yeah. If someone asks us to trust them, they're asking us to believe them. And if we trust someone, we believe in them.
The question is, we are doing that as a second round of the day. I have this discussion already. And we came to the conclusion that there are, of course, different types of trust. One, for example, is the trusting nature, and that it will do something. The second is there was a participant from the US who said, Michael, currently almost nobody trusts no one in the US, and especially politicians. But on the other hand, every politician starts or ends his speech with the term trust me or trust us. I think it's even printed on the US money, isn't it? Trust in God.
Trust in God.
Is it there? So it looks like that we came to the conclusion that maybe it is the next hijacked term.
That's.
I'm sorry, Bill.
No, go ahead, Kevin.
I was just going to say that the COP28 has shown what little trust people have and justified having no trust in it because they have delivered nothing but lies and a scam. And trust is one of those things that once you've lost it, it's almost impossible to get back.
Right, it's gone. Right. We live in an age now. For many years, we have been trying to deal with misinformation, disinformation. In fact, the three of us have even talked about how do we teach our children to critically think so that they can weed their way through all of the misinformation that's out there. And then we're just recently beginning to be aware of AI, and not only can AI form different stories and you don't know what to believe, but AI also makes it up sometimes. So how do you believe? What do you believe? Who do you believe? So this is a completely different age than it was even a few years ago. So how do we? So is trust? Will trust be one of the victims of this new age? And will we trust anybody?
I think that especially when you mention the technology AI and similar, I asked the participant whether this new technology, as we call it, and meaning AI, ChatGPT, computers, everything, internet, everything what is around us, whether it helped to build up trust or the very opposite thing. And unfortunately, from my perspective, I see the very opposite thing to be more relevant than trusting it.
I think that the reasons behind the development of ChatGPT is so untrustworthy in itself that this thing is based in being untrustworthy. So there's no reason to ever even consider trusting it. It's not what it's made for.
Will you agree that trust is something which is a human-like or natural-like thing, so not the thing of technology itself? On the other hand, if you step in a plane, you have to trust that it will fly.
Yeah, we're still trying to understand what makes humans sentient or different from machines. What can machines never do? Machines can never trust. They're not designed to trust. They're not. That's not their reason for being. So trusting is a human sentient feature, I think. What do you guys think? Do you agree?
I agree.
Machines can't trust.
No, machines can't do anything in terms of emotional thinking. That's not how they are, and that's exactly how we are. We may pride ourselves on being logical, but we're not. We're emotional, and a machine will never be emotional. It can copy, mimic emotions, but it can't be emotional.
Is trust an emotion?
Yes, I think so. It is, yes. Like I said, I think trust is a form of belief, and belief is an emotion, you would hope.
We touched last time, I think we touched that maybe we have two brains. One is in the head, the second is somewhere at the abdomen, which says, do I feel good or I don't? Do I trust this term or this person or do I not? So maybe it is somehow connected with this. On the other hand, I think that if we use the term trust as belief, so the machine trusts everything what the people say or what the programmers will give them. It generally does not doubt. It does not have this curiosity in the structure, which says, okay, but maybe it's different. And just yesterday I have learned in Germany, the scientist again has been surprised by ChatGPT. It become lazy, so it's not only lying, but it's really become lazy, and they don't know why. They just
I know people like that, lazy and lying.
It's funny, up to now, I thought that the fact that ChatGPT lied was its only redeeming feature. And I still think the same way. It is it's the only thing about it which makes it in any way human at all.
It's when I came with the term, I did not expect such interesting discussion. For example, that the trust, and you mentioned it, trust needed to be built to enter life. And no matter how long the life was, whether 1 day or 100 years, you have to build it up. But you can lose it in 1 second time. Just now, you lose the trust, and it's very hard, and you mentioned it, it's very hard to get it back.
Would AI actually, could you program it to trust? So, for example, could you say, come up with all the alternatives in this situation, and then rank the probability of it happening, and then everything that is 99% probable, we will trust. The machine will trust. We'll take actions based on that 99%. So aren't you teaching it how to trust by teaching it to favor the higher probability?
And from there, Bill, the interesting thing is perhaps the greatest weakness of AI is that it doesn't mistrust enough. You know, the great thing about humans is that we have this skepticism, which is not always seen in the most positive light, but it does protect us from a lot. And a lot of the rubbish that we're fed into this world, we need a healthy dose of skepticism to survive and find the truth within it. And I don't think AI has the ability to be skeptical. It has to rely on being fed.
And what you described, Bill, was an algorithm. So I can imagine that the algorithm called trust will work as you describe it. 99% I will trust. But in my feeling, it's not trust. We use the term because we do not use other term. Maybe it does not exist, or we did not came in this short time to it. But I think that to build the algorithm according to the what will be accurate to 99.9% I will trust is an algorithm which I think can be fed into any computer, any technology, including the AI, of course.
You know, my problem with that is that in my life, lots of times, I've either had to choose A or B or C. I had to choose it. And so I write down the pros, I write down the cons, I discuss those maybe with people or consider it for some time, give it a lot of cerebral mental energy. And in the end, you make the choice because of your gut, not because of your head. So but why do I do that? Why did I get married to Galena, right? Is that a mental calculation, pros and cons? It was not. I guarantee you, it was not a mental calculation. So I trust my gut. And I remember my dad used to always tell me, trust your gut.
I do remember I was about 20, whatever, 5 or so, quite a young guy. And I was offered to lead an office in Indonesia. So I fly to the Indonesia, I spent some time there. It was quite, at that time, I will be very rich guy on comparing to Czech Republic. I will have a lot of responsibility. So it was the only time when I write the list, which you mentioned, yes and no. I never did it again. And generally, I write it down, and everything was yes, almost. Then I was in my car or in a bus to Prague. I think it was in a Prague, and I write. It was in autumn, and I wrote next to the beautiful woods which turn colored in the autumn and so on. And I will never see that in Indonesia because there is all the time green. And despite having everything yes, I said no to the offer. And I never thought it was a wrong decision because exactly I believe in my gut.
And I think that's part of the thing which makes us so interesting is we've been given all the facts, but it doesn't mean that's going to persuade us. We're persuaded through the heart, not through the mind, or not through the brain.
So until a computer will have a heart and gut, maybe, it will never become human. Because the emotions will be simply missing. And it's not so easy probably to do that because no matter how good the computers or the robots look like, and they really look like, if you saw the latest Japanese exhibition, robotic exhibition in Tokyo, they really look like real humans. So the skin is, they even get heated hand. So if you touch it, it looks like a human hand and so on. So that really great work on it. But it will never the emotions are not there. They are pre-programmed emotions, of course. That the people wow and laughing and they can even cry, but it's not the same. So I think this is why the Society 5.0 in Japan did not work, because they thought that the machines can supplement humans, but they are not. Simply, we are not so far. I do not say it's impossible. I just say at the moment we are not at this stage.
You know, it's really interesting. Has anyone asked a robot if it wants to look like us? Because I would be pretty sure that they'd rather look like something else.
It's from the logic. I ask so many robotic companies, so many times, why they develop the human-like robot. 2 legs, 2 hands. This is the worstest design in nature. And just yesterday, I have seen that, you know, this RoboDoc from this American company, one of the most famous. It's not American company anymore. They don't tell, but it's Chinese. But Boston Robotics. And they have a dog which can do really a lot of things. And I ask them all the time, why this dog does not have wheels on the legs? Because it will help him to use it as legs, so as wheels, so he can move faster and do many things. And finally, somebody attached wheels, and it's great because he can do much more. So I don't know why they do. They explain all the time that they would like to have it. And just recently, I have seen a humanoid robot on a production line for food production, I think, which pick up some meat and put it on a tray, something like that. And it was next to the other workers, the human workers. And what was interesting on the video, it was not for the first time, but the human worker, all the time, she looked at the robot, all the time. Like, it was not like having a friend next to me. It was like having an enemy or danger or I don't know what.
Well, maybe she did not trust the robot beside her.
It's possible.
I don't know what the fear would be, but I can understand the emotion of always being aware of, not like it's a person there, but you don't know what it is.
The crazy part, because it was a food production, the lady has this hat, and the robot has the same hat on this metallic piece of.
See, that just goes right back to what you were saying a couple of minutes ago. We design robots and other things to our perception of what ideal is. At some point, somebody should ask ChatGPT, what is the most ideal or efficient design? Should it be legs or should it be wheels? Should it be whatever? And go through all the alternatives and see what ChatGPT says to that. Of course, they may lie or they may hallucinate. But what is the ideal form or shape?
Because if you ask humans, I think that the ability we would most like to have would be the ability to fly. So why would a robot not rather be a bird?
And at the same time, you know, these other organisms are so different. I just watched today in the morning, I was quite interesting presentation of some scientists or researcher who work on a noise reduction in London from the position of brakes, special brakes to be implemented. And all the time he played it was a 1-year project, and for half a year he played with a standard shape of a brake with some addition and so on. And he was in trouble. And at the end, he used a very different shape, really, we can call it a natural shape, because you can reduce the noise if you have something like a chamber and there is a neck, and it's a very old old technology which worked this way. And he started to play with this, and finally he came with something which does not look like a brick at all, but works unbelievable strong, and it looks even nice. It's just not a brick. Just the material is the same. And I have a question. Okay, there are holes in there, and I said, okay, so if this will be a wall in London, it will be filled with trash and the birds and so on. And he finished his speech and he said, we install it, and do you know what is great? The birds start to put their own breeding places there. So he take it as an advantage, because if the bird is there, the noise reduction will be even higher than what was proposed before. It was really great. It was interesting presentation. I don't watch this kind, but it was interesting. So he, in some way, in one moment, he stopped to trust the standard brick. And he trusts nature. And he delivered result which helps him to win some prize.
And I think trust exists in nature.
So, symbiosis frequently is based on trust. I think parasite is not trust in a way which we would like to see it, but in other way, it must be trust that the main organism can carry me until I suck it out. So,
or these birds that clean the teeth of crocodiles. That is a very trusting bird.
There's a lot of trust there.
If we speak about trust in nature, do you trust nature?
Interesting question, but I know that every once in a while there will be a hurricane or a tornado, and nature will kill people and will destroy some man-made things. So what is trust? I trust that it will happen. I trust that I will not be happy with what it does sometimes. But liking something is different from trusting something. I trust that it will happen. I trust that life will regenerate after that.
What about
I
you,
trust that the sun will come up tomorrow.
I agree with Bill. I think that I trust nature to be 100% consistent. It will always behave the same way.
And do you think nature trusts human?
From a human point of view, I wouldn't advise it.
Why I'm asking, there was one Aborigine generally from the US, and he was really spending all his life and his family with nature, in nature. He was a pollinator, so he really helps to grow nature. And he said, I think that nature trusts in my work, because I have healed the trees without hurting it, and so on and so on. And it was very interesting how he see the trust from the point of being really close, much closer than all of us, to nature itself. So, and you can see some animals who trust you, simple trust humans, and the others who don't trust, because they have this gut feeling, this is a bad person, which can hurt me or someone else. So it's quite interesting, a point of view. And it looks like that the people who all the time say, trust me, behind every sentence, are the ones who shouldn't be trusted at all.
Right, right. Well, and that's an old law that how did they say, the empty vessel makes the loudest noise. So if I have to say I am king, or I know what I'm talking about, then you don't. if you have to say it, then it's not true. So if you say, trust me, that makes me think, well, maybe I shouldn't trust you just because you said that.
Interesting. Interesting. The question is whether we can get the real trust back and how to get it back, because there are so many misusing it. Then is the question whether there shouldn't be any new term to be used instead of trust. I sent you last week how I newly defined Industry 5.0 as the recovery of broken connection between nature and human-made ecosystem. And the reason why I think it is so strong is because no one who used the term for robot or AI or any other technology restore a broken link between nature and human. They just use the term, but they cannot use the same definition anymore. And this is what put them in a trouble, because it will be clearly visible what is real Industry 5.0, the origin, and what is not, because everybody will understand. And what I'm trying right now to win in some way the trust of the people in what I say, which is not so hard because I speak about it for such a long time. This is just one additional sentence, which will help them to understand. And thank you for the a point that it was too complicated. You are right. So you saw I make it a little simpler in understanding. So thank you.
Jimmy,
So
you got me thinking. There's this old expression that trust must be earned. But I actually think that the way we are as people, we're naturally fairly trusting. So I think instead of trust being earned, trust is squandered. And you can see amongst politicians that we don't trust them anymore. But it is them that destroyed this link. They broke the trust. And the same with the giants. The reasons we don't trust them is because that's what they have earned. They have earned our mistrust.
So the question was whether or not we can ever get back to a point where we trust each other more. And I'm highly doubtful that we're going in that direction for a number of reasons. We mentioned AI. We mentioned politicians. We mentioned that we've gotten further and further away from nature. If nature is our role model, and people who live in nature live more simply, but all of the societies are getting further away from nature. We sit here with our laptops. When I was a little kid, we lived outside. We lived at the river. We lived in the woods. And now my grandchildren, they go outside, but they are always supervised by an adult. And partially that's out of fear, because we don't want some bad guy to lure them away or whatever else. But for whatever reason, we are further away from nature. So the younger people and ourselves do not see this symbiotic trust between nature and ourselves, and how we are a part of nature, and that the attitude of trust is something that nature has naturally. So are we getting closer or further away? I'm afraid we're getting further away. And how would we counteract that? What can we do about that?
I think you're right, absolutely right, Bill. I think that ChatGTP is a symptom of this mistrust in nature. We don't trust our own ability that nature has given us, so we build an artificial one because we no longer trust nature We no longer trust the abilities that we have.
Generally, we don't trust our own decisions. We need to ask someone else. And today is ChatGPT. In the past, it was God. Please tell me who in or what I should do. So we do not trust in our own decision. And for a long, long time, and just now, it's of course it's speeded up because we carry our God in a pocket, and we can ask all the time if there is enough energy. We can ask every time. And the question is, I think that the first, how can we trust ourselves, our own decision? What will be the proof for us to trust? Because, you know, if you look at, there was mentioned COP28, many came to COP28 to doubt, and all are living in belief. But nothing happened, and nothing will happen, that the treaty was signed, and what? Not a single politician will come back with a bike. All will step in a jet and will fly back and will keep using the crude oil as before. And you know, where is the next COP? In Azerbaijan next year. Again,
Another oil producer.
Crude oil producer and a lot of other things. So, and it is predicted the next one, I don't remember, the over next one, probably Australia. So it's just a business, man. But the issue is that the people stop trusting themselves. We do not trust ourselves. And the question is how to get trust in ourselves back so we will be trustful for the others. And I don't know. It is not just, if you jump in a cold water, I will trust you. It's not so easy. It's not so easy anymore.
I think what Bill said is right. We have to trust in nature. We have to trust in our place in nature, and that we're not smarter than nature. We're not above nature. If anything, it's the other way around. And once we believe in nature and believe in the planet we live on, and believe in each other a little bit better, hopefully things will improve.
One of the thoughts that you made me think was, what has changed? Why don't we believe in ourselves like we used to? And I think there's a lot of different. One of the things is that we used to have something we call rugged individualism, right? So you think back to the days of the pioneers. So I can go out into the woods, I can live by what I can either gather or hunt in the wood. I can do that. I can stand by myself. I don't require people or helpers, or because I can do that. And that was a part of rugged individualism. Rugged individualism it's not totally gone, but it is so pale as as compared to what it used to be, which is one thing. Another thing is that we are now being taught that we have to make community decisions, not my decision, but all of us together. What is the best decision for all of us together? And that's very different than what it was even as I was growing up and going to school and so on, where I had to do it by myself. And now we need to do it together. And I don't know if that's either better or worse, because we've made a lot of mistakes depending on just our own, letting one person make decisions for me. Another reason is that so many of our institutions, government, the church, so many institutions used to tell us how to live, right? What you're going to do on Sunday, or what your relationship with your brother should be. And those institutions have just been so terribly eroded. Again, I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. There's probably shades of both. But will we get back to a point of being able to trust ourselves? Hmm. Hmm. Good question.
What will be your comment on that? We have 4 minutes 40.
I think that the more we believe in ourselves, the more we'll trust ourselves. The more we believe in being told what to do by institutions like the state. I think the reason that both the state and the church have lost so much power is because now it is big business has taken over a lot of their roles, and it's big business which will decide or tell us what to do, what to think. And that is really the biggest danger to humanity if we go down that road. And because their interests are not at all our interests. So we need to trust in ourselves. We need to trust in our gut.
I have asked one question which was answered by two of three participants on stage. I will ask you the same question. You must not answer if you do not want to. Do you trust United Nations?
That's not a yes or no answer. With the passage of time, I trust any gathering of the giants. I trust it less and less. Maybe I'm just getting old.
I don't trust them.
It used to be the hope. This is where we put our hope. Hope is not trust. And the more times I read about things like COP28.
What about you, Kevin?
No, I have lost all trust in them. The fact that they can't end wars, they can't. I mean, the fact they've let themselves being taken over by oil producers to run the COPs is just beyond ridiculous. I have absolutely no trust in that organization. It doesn't mean to say that I don't trust some of the people in there, but the organization itself and its structure, the fact that people make careers out of doing that. And so the United Nations becomes more important than the mission they were set out to do. No, I don't trust them.
I have exactly the same feeling. And you know, I have many discussions with Granddad about, and he was 20 when it was set up. So he was older than the United Nations. And he said, Michael, already 2 years after it was set up, there was the first war, which they should prevent it, but they did not. So he lost the trust quite early because he was at the beginning and he saw it. Of course, I was born many years after. But I think that we touch a lot of interesting things regarding the trust, especially the fact that we can win it back, probably, but we must be the first one who really trust in ourselves. And you mentioned, Bill, and it's a common thing that the children do not play alone today. They all the time have a supervision of someone or something. It can be even computer camera or whatever. And how they should build up the trust in themselves. When we say don't do that, they don't do this, because you can hurt yourself. Whether you will or not, it's another issue, but you know yourself. But if you cut your hand, you will be very careful next time not to cut your hand, because this is the only way how to trust. But we have less than 1 minute, so I would like to thanks to everyone, and you, Bill and Kevin, for being today in Wasteless World Talks. I would like to wish everyone have a nice time, free of waste and wasting in all its forms. Stay safe, free, and be trustworthy, because this is how you can be the role model for the others. Have a nice time and see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.